Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to our channel. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Sanjana. And Sanjana will be sharing her insights as to how one can make a career in as a credit analyst in a commercial bank. Hi, Sanjana.
Hi, Veer.
Okay, great. Sanjana, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, okay. So my name is Sanjana Maiwal, and I'm a CA and FRM by qualification. I carry an experience of over 6 years as a credit analyst in corporate banking and commercial banking with three banks, namely Federal Bank, Standard Chartered, and Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi. And right now I'm working as a freelance to different debt consultants and advising them on the credit aspects of the deal. So yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So, Sanjana, can you briefly touch upon exactly what do you do on a day-to-day basis as a credit analyst?
Yeah, sure. So you must be knowing that when a business entity approaches the bank for a debt, so as a credit analyst, like my role is basically to understand like whether the customer could be given the loan, and if so, like on what terms and conditions, what is the eligibility, how much can be given, what products should be given, and analyzing the risk aspect for every part of it. So basically it starts with understanding the business model of the customer, his need, his doing his industry analysis, like what is the trend in the industry, whether industry is risky as such, and okay, and then like arriving at the amount that could be lent. So generally these loans are under multiple banking or consortium banking. Then you have to like decide like how much your share would be and what would be the terms and conditions. Then different facilities which could be given. So there are a number of fund-based facilities. There are a number of non-fund-based facilities. So like you sort of give a recommendation on all these aspects, and then you find out the risk mitigants and you submit it to the approving authority. So in different banks there would be a different approving authority. Some have a committee system, and in some banks you have an individual person, maybe the national credit head or the chief credit officer or regional credit officer, depending upon the loan amount and the tenor. So they would have different powers, and then you have to submit and make sure that the proposal goes through, like, so that's basically the role. Yeah.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. And Sanjana, can you also touch upon what exactly are the skills required for this profile? And especially you mentioned that you've done FRM as well, right? So,
Yeah.
can you just touch upon whether it is a mandatory, a good to have in addition to being a CA? So if you just touch upon that.
Yeah. So I think for being a credit analyst, the role is sort of technical. Okay. So you have to like understand the financials, and you have to relate it with the business model of the customer. And at times, it is really important to do a factory inspection also. So when you understand the numbers, you have to relate it with what you see physically as well. So everything is like you have to kind of make 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. So it is really important that you have a good financial background in terms of accounting and stuff. So I think CA gives you a very good learning in that aspect. uh, Accounts, and I think financial management is some of the parts that we use in our day-to-day life as a credit analyst. Because you see these you do a in-depth ratio analysis, also the DSCR and cash flow. So that is the basic thing. Apart from that, second skill I would say is really important is the soft skills, because many a times you need information to make your judgment, and you have to request it from the customer. And many times the customers, maybe they are very big shot customers, they are not ready to, they are reluctant to share information, and they make it an ego issue. So you need to maintain good relations with them, with the business team also. And sometimes if you're not comfortable, you need to be able to understand the business team that, see, this is the risk, and I believe that, in my opinion, this risk is too much, so maybe you should not do it, or maybe you should do it at these terms, which the customer might not agree with. So yeah, soft skills would be the second point. And thirdly, I would say, you were asking about FRM, right? So FRM, you see, most of the course is around banking. Even CFA is a very good course, but what FRM offers you is like, uh, it gives a very brief understanding of what goes in a financial institution. So in terms of, if you know about Basel and stuff, if you've ever heard of Basel norms and the capital adequacy, so it has every, you come to know why we are doing this, and how is the rating calculated, by what is the probability of default, what is expected loss, and why is it that we need to incorporate it in our pricing decisions also, like what rate has to be offered to the customer. So it gives you brief understanding, and it makes it more interesting to like work, and maybe you can apply a lot of knowledge there. But having said that, like, it is not mandatory. It depends on your interest. If you want to, if you like the technical aspects of it, then I would recommend that if you do an FRM, and it is, I think, just 2 levels, and it can be completed in just 1 year as compared to the CFA. So that's a big, yeah, that's a big advantage, because CFA takes around 3 years. Even if you do it like in the first go all the levels, you need around 3 years. So yeah.
Got it.
And yeah, one more I would say is that very important skill. So it's like you have to be very cautious. Okay, uh, there are instances, because you are basically dealing with a lot of money, and every risk has to be documented. And if you feel that there is something fishy or suspicious, then you should raise a red flag and take action. That is really important. Yeah.
Right. I can totally understand that. Okay, perfect. Moving on, so Sanjana, can you also touch upon who are the typical employers for this role, apart from the banks, like NBFCs and financial institutions? Do they also have such a similar role?
Yeah, NBFCs have a similar role. Uh, Depending on, you see, for low ticket size customers, you really don't need a credit analyst. Those things can be done computerized, and nowadays there are a lot of NBFCs which are dependent on AI, and they have their own softwares for doing all these analysis, but that could be done only for small businesses. For larger ones, you need judgmental aspects of it. So the role of an analyst is important. So apart from NBFCs, there is a good option. They are rating agencies also. So it's very easy to make a shift from the bank to the rating agency. So basically, in rating agency also, you are basically analyzing the risk, and you give a rating to it, the customer, and you understand the industry. So yeah, and nowadays there is a lot of interest in IBC and restructuring, which many consultancies also take people from banks for these kind of roles. So I have seen a lot of people making shift into these profiles.
Okay. And Sanjana, piggybacking on what you just said, that a lot of NBFCs and fintech startups, they are into lending, right? And they use AI tools, etc. So, do you think for making a career as a credit analyst, in the times to come, it's important that you need to have some knowledge about how fintech industry space is moving, and some knowledge of tech sector?
Uh, in my opinion, what I've been reading these days and coming to know is that in future, banking is going to be disrupted by the fintech industry to a lot of extent. Uh, so it's really essential that you be upgraded with these things. But keeping this in mind, for large corporates and for large clients, I really don't think that any programmer will be able to do justice, because it depends on the merit of the case, and it is very judgmental. Even you won't believe that there are credit analysts working in the same department in the same bank, and if you give them the same case, they would have different approval structures. Like, somebody would say, okay, I'll give 100, somebody would say, no, I'll give 75. So it is that judgmental. There's a lot of skill involved, and I don't think this would get disrupted. But yeah, in terms of delivery of the service, I believe yes, maybe instead of instead of taking documentation from the client, maybe we have some account aggregators who would submit the details, or and one very interesting thing which is happening is that many MNC banks, they have started exploring blockchain in trade finance. So they have in fact done, I'll tell you about Standard Chartered, like they had done one transaction for opening an LC using blockchain on a trial basis. And I think 5 years down the line, that technology would easily get adopted.
Right.
So I think operations side, there is a big risk, but in analysis or in the business teams, I really don't think there'll be much disruption for the large ticket size customers.
Correct. No, I totally agree with you, Sanjana, and I think this is a very important point for our viewers today. That if you want, so fintech industry is really changing, fintech and the entire banking industry. So if you want to make a career in the long run, you need to upskill yourself, on a continuous basis. So that is a very valid point. Okay, thanks, Sanjana. So moving on, can you also touch upon how one can get into this profile, especially if someone, let's say, wants to make a switch from a typical audit / tax profile, how to make a switch into this career?
I think if you are a CA, it is really easy. Yeah, it is actually very easy, but what we'll have to consider would be if you have a lot of experience, and maybe you'll have to compromise on your package and all. But many of my friends, when I was working in Mumbai, they had come from audit profiles after having, spent a couple of years with no work-life balance. So it's not that difficult. If you have people, you can easily, there is a lot of reference-based hiring in private banks. So PSUs, I really don't think is the place to work. I mean, the public sector banks, and they don't really hire CAs and all. They would generally hire probationary officers, and they have their own examination. So, it's not a good option working there. But yeah, private banks, you can easily get into. Even on the business side, it is quite easy. Even on the relationship manager, if you want to go towards the sales side of the role, it is easy. It is not that difficult.
Okay, got it. Amazing. Yeah. That brings me to the last question that I have for you. What are the tips you would give to any professional, especially a young chartered accountant who wants to make a career in this profile?
So the tips, I believe, you should read a lot about industries. You should be reading a newspaper daily, because a lot of times what happens is that one regulation changes and your entire portfolio is affected. And I think I missed on that part, but as a credit analyst, apart from sanctioning of new loans, you are also expected to monitor your portfolio. You would have a portfolio of say 50 clients or 20 or 30 depending on the organization, and you have to ensure that nothing it works easily. If say you have projected this much income, so every quarter you have to do a review as well of the account, and you have to make sure that any red flags are put up to the concerned authority, action is taken. So I would say it's really important to be up to date, have a good general awareness in that sense, because whenever something happens, you see something is in the news, you need to check your portfolio, and you have to take, like nowadays there's a lot of input prices are going up like anything. There's a commodity boom and steel and everything, so you have to make sure you talk to the clients, like how are they managing their pricing, because the margins go down and maybe there would be some stress coming up, maybe they need some extra limits or something. So you have to be agile in that sense. So yeah, that's it. I believe if you have an interest in banking, because banking is really wide, I mean, I tell you, you can do a lot of things. Even I'm so fascinated with forex and stuff like hedging. If you have to recommend your client that, sir, you should hedge your limits, you should hedge if you're an exporter, then it is like, it's a continuous sort of learning. Every day you learn something new. Right. So it's a very wide field, and nobody can say that we are an expert. Nobody can be an expert. In my opinion, like nobody can be. It's so wide. It is so wide as an industry.
Amazing. I totally agree with you. Okay, great. That brings us to the end of the small session. Thank you so much, Sanjana. I think it was very, very insightful, and whatever tips that you've shared are very valid, right? Uh, for the benefit of all, I'll be sharing a link to Sanjana's LinkedIn profile in the description of the video. So please feel free to reach out to her if you have any other questions. Thank you, and thank you so much, Sanjana. Thank you.
Thank you, Veer. Thank you.